Welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Today we are joined by the award-winning author, C.J. Bahr. Hi, C.J. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about you, Ari?
I'm doing wonderful. Yay! Okay, so I think first I have to talk about an antidote. So I set up the room, and I did it a couple of times because I either didn't use the right. I try to use the picture that I'm using for what I'm wearing for the evening, and a couple times I have fudged that, and I've forgotten to update it, and it's been the prior picture. So 3 times I did that tonight with yours. So anyways, I did that, and I had forgot that I copied and pasted your bio, and then I put your link in it. And so when I invited you, I put copy paste, and I didn't check to make sure that I did the link. So I invited you to your own book page.
Hey, but the link worked.
Well, good. That's awesome. I have you actually on my other computer in here on your website as well, because I like to be able to refer just in case. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get this started. So, with 6 books to your name, starting from 2014 to 2021, I find myself wanting to hear about, are you ready for it?
Okay.
Does the Shoe Fit You Now? Published.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wait, I'm not done. Published in 1995 in a book 12 of the Marion Zimmer Bradley Sword and Sorceress. Now, I know that you put Sword and Sorceress in your bio, and I had found a few interviews, and you had made a reference to a Cinderella story, but you never once said a title. And so I was like, you know what? I am just going to find this.
I don't even think it's in print anymore.
Actually, I think it is. And I told my husband this story, and he says, you realize we have some of those books on our shelves. I'm like, really? We have this? So.
It's an interesting story because, I became a writer because I was an avid reader through my parents always having books. And when I finished a book that I particularly loved the world, I would just write my own scenes to make the story last longer. And of course, then that morphed into writing originals. And finally, somebody said, you should submit to this anthology, write something. And I'm like, okay. And I wrote it up, sent it in. So first short story, professionally done. First place I sent it into was my first sale.
Wow.
Which was shocking. And it's interesting because Marion Zimmer Bradley is a huge author that I love to pieces, so I was very honored. And in her introduction to my story, she goes, I hate retold fairy tales. But I really like this one, so I had to buy it.
Aww.
And it's, I guess, almost what you would consider flash fiction now. It's short. It's only 1,500 words or so.
Right.
And what it is pretty much Cinderella, after she gets married to her prince, decides that her prince isn't so charming anymore. And she's working hard at that castle, cleaning things and, doing everything she was, doing before. And she said, I don't need this, and walks away.
Oh, wow.
She leaves her prince. So, yeah. and then it took me, 40 more years to sell something again.
I read that because that actually leads into my next question. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So after Does the Shoe Fit You Now? There was about 8 years before Forged in Fire. Okay.
Yeah.
And that was published in 2017. And the years between, here's where I'm interested in. Okay, I told you this was not going to be your normal interview. If you thought you were going to get away with not telling me the other dates, you've got nothing coming. Okay, so from 2009 to 2014, you were a music editor on movies such as The Space Between, Bob's New Suit, The Secret Circle, Tainted Love, One Night Surprise, and tell me, how does that help with you being a writer? Tell me the stretch between the two.
Well, what Ari is talking about is my day job, so to speak, as a music editor, which I'll date myself, started back in fall of 1989 as an assistant music editor, and eventually morphed in. But music editing, I work really closely with composers and the producers, and I help put the music into the TV shows or the films, which is a weird right-left brain thing, because it takes, the smart side of the brain and then the creative side of the brain. And so I love music. Obviously, I was a musician.
Right.
I played clarinet. And actually, when I write, I listen to instrumental soundtracks. I sort of like score my own writing.
Wow. That is kind of cool. Not that this is about me, but sometimes I like to make reference points, okay? This is not about me. But just because you say that, a long time ago, someone had asked me or something, because music and how you picture your world when you're writing play a lot together. And I was once asked, exactly. So I was once asked what I listen to when I write, because I do have one series that has some steamy scenes in it. I'll admit to that. I was asked about that, and I said Christmas music, and they were like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry to say it's Christmas music.
Yeah, I find I can't write to music that has lyrics if somebody's singing.
Yes.
If a voice was being used as an instrument, in other words, like somebody humming or no actual words, I can deal with that. But fellow writers list this was my playlist while writing, and they're all like, rock and roll songs or this kind of songs. I'm like, that would drive me crazy.
You know what would happen if that were happening to me. Next thing I know, I'd be typing the words of the song.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, wait a minute, where did this come from? So I found a quote from you I think it was from 2018. Would you mind if I read it?
Oh, no, not at all.
Okay.
I wonder what you found.
You say, I work hard for my writing because it doesn't come easy. Now, has the last 3 years since you said that, has that changed the perspective any?
I still stand by that statement, actually.
Okay.
I love to write, but it's really hard, henceforth why there's years between my books. I may not be like George R.R. Martin slow, but it's hard. It's hard. I think part of it is a little perfectionist in me. And I keep, I'll write something, I'm like, oh, that's not right. Instead of just getting the story down and then editing. So I'm kind of like my own worst hurdle. I don't cross.
I get you.
So.
I did hear another thing that you had said, and I didn't write it down, but I am going to mention it simply because we're talking about your writing and how much it takes from you. I hear that you don't plot it out. You don't write it all down.
I don't actually. I'm a dyed-in-the-wool pantser, though another fellow author of mine is the complete opposite and outlines everything before she starts writing. So she's kind of made me a hybrid now. So I don't do a strict outline nowadays, but I sort of have it, I get my idea of my beginning, middle, and end, and then sometimes a few more details in between before I start writing. But most of the time I just have a concept and then start running, see where it takes me.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm similar in some aspects. I start with a plot, and as I'm writing, then I have like another sheet where, like, you know how your characters develop, mine develop as the story goes, and then I copy and paste, throw that in my my other little doc I have on the side about the character. Because for me, when I'm writing, it's like reading a new book. And when I get to the ending, that's where it's hard. Because once I know how the book ends, I don't want to write anymore. It's like, well, this is no fun no more. So
I usually get stuck about 3/4 of the way in. So I kind of get through the middle, but then I jump to the end. I'm like, oh, I'm missing some stuff. I need to go back.
Now, I did hear something about walking through fire. I heard that this was a contest entry. Can you go ahead?
Yeah, no. I actually tried to get an agent and publishers to read it, and nobody was biting. So I went the contest route.
Right.
And two of them was something, oh gosh, it's been so long ago. It's like where you had to submit the first chapter and the last chapter of your book.
Mm-hmm.
I think it says like finish the damn book contest or something like that. And then there was another one like Great Beginnings. Uh-huh. So, and the first chapter, spoiler alert, in Walking Through Fire is my hero drowning in a cave. So he comes a ghost, but which came to me in a dream, and I'm like, why am I dreaming about a guy drowning in a cave? And so I built a whole story around for him. But I had 2 requests through the contest. One I won, one I came in second. The first was a request from Harlequin, but the second one was from the Wild Rose Press. And asked for the full, and I sent it into my wonderful editor, Amanda Barnett, and she loved it and contracted me. Yay!
Well, it sounds like a house. Now, so I'm curious, because you say that you really have to work for you. Because it was a or wait a minute, first let me ask you this. Was Walking Through Fire finished before you submitted it?
Correct. Okay, it was totally done.
Okay. Because my question on that was like, so did this pressure of the contest make you finish it quicker? But since you said it was already done, that's a mute point.
Yeah. Well, especially since the one contest I think finished that damn book was you had to have a last chapter. So
yeah, exactly. So it takes. I'm a little slow sometimes, but I got you. So
no, but what's really funny is when Amanda called me. It was on April 1st.
Oh,
this isn't an April Fool's joke, is it? She goes, no, I'm serious. I really want your book.
Yeah, and if you guys were friends, I'd be really questioning. Really? Okay, so a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
There we go. Okay, so now we've mentioned Walking Through Fire. We've mentioned Forged in Fire, which, by the way, we kind of brought those in reverse order from how they were published, but that's all right. That just makes you reference that I do know that. So now let's talk about where Cassandra Thomas has returned and redeemed by fire.
Yes, she used to live in California, and her life, because I don't want to spoil anything, kind of implodes on her. So she moves back to New Orleans.
Okay.
And she is half Haitian.
Okay.
So she has degrees in psychology and sociology. She was a social worker out in California.
Okay.
So she decides to take her degrees and open a psychic shop. Ooh. Because she figures, I know the meanings of the cards. I can read people's body languages. I'll put my degree to that use. And then one night, walking home, she's nabbed by a serial killer that's stalking the French Quarter.
Ooh.
do, do.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't even know if I've got a sound card. Like, well, let's try this one. Oh, wait a minute. What, I got to turn the... There we go.
I do my own music.
Well, and if I were even a better in this... There we go. Now we can do it. Not quite the same, but, got to deal with what I got here. So as we're talking about the series, tell me a little overall about the series, like from the first 2 books, because you've already mentioned the third, but tell us a little bit how this led and just a little bit of the background, what you can tell without giving the story away.
Okay, so I like to call it the Fire Chronicles is the name of the series. And it hopefully one day will be 7 books if I ever write fast enough. And my editor continues to like the stories I send her. I call them sort of like interconnected standalones. So you could jump in at any time in the series and read the book and have a whole beginning, middle, and end. The interconnected part is 7 archangels. And these archangels have their own little mission they want accomplished. In this case, in Walking Through Fire, it was Archangel Uriel. And he had a treasure, if you want, an artifact that the McKay family had protected through time. And with Simon's death, he was the last of the McKays. So he couldn't actually move on because he had to protect this treasure. So that leads each book is going to be one of the archangels. So like in Forged in Fire, which is a really kind of a fun treat for me because I was like, each one of these fire books, I'm like doing my favorite tropes. So this was a Scottish Highland ghost story in Walking Through Fire.
Okay.
And in Forged in Fire, I've always wanted to write that roguish, handsome highwayman. And so my editor, Amanda, said, I really like Beth. What's her story? And Beth was my heroine's best friend in the first book.
Okay.
And I'm not going to spoil anything, but I was like, how can I tell her story? Because that'd be a little difficult. And then I said, I know what I can do. I can have one of my archangels bring her back in time. So they get whisked off into England and I think it was the late 1700s. And so I paired her up with my roguish thief. And this time the villain is a dashing demon. Yeah. And he has this gem he created called the Viper's Eye, which he gives to a human. So, because demons aren't allowed to actually do bad stuff to humans. There's a law, but he can use an intermediary. So he finds this poor guy who's trying to figure out a way to save his daughter. So he gets the stone. And so obviously Kit and Beth are charged by the Archangel Ramiel to get the stone. So that had a lot of fun because both Beth and Kit are very snarky. So I had loads of fun writing up the bantering scenes between the two of them.
I imagine. I find that interesting now, just to make a point. Your demons have a law, so they have to use an intermediary. I find that intriguing, really.
Well, in some ways, the archangels have the same issue. Because, in my universe, I set up, God made these rules that, demons and angels can do whatever they want to each other, but they can't actually directly, kill a human or whatever.
Well, that is interesting. Okay, so...
Can't make it easy.
Well, of course not, no. With us talking about writing, tell me about the splendors of California, for where you're located. And I remember, because I went through some of your feed, and I believe you saw a pond of dolphins.
Oh, yeah. I kidnapped my best friend for her birthday, and we went to this resort called Tarzana in Rancho Palos Verdes. If anyone knows the history, that used to be the old Marine Land Park. But so it's right there on a cliff side on the beach. It's gorgeous. And we were taking a break and writing our various books on the balcony when I saw this crazy white line approaching. And I'm like, what is that? And as it got closer and closer, I realized it was like, I don't know, 80 dolphins.
Oh my goodness.
It was huge. Yeah, everyone in the resort sort of like stopped going, wow, never seen that many dolphins in one place.
I did watch the video a couple of times because I was like, what the hey?
I know, I'm so bummed. I was like, come closer. My iPhone is all zoomed out. I can't get any closer.
Okay, we're dwindling on our seconds, but I do want to ask you one final question, if you don't mind.
No, not at all.
With your career in music and books, tell me something. I mean, because you got an IB&D page and all that. Tell me something that you do regularly that pulls those passions together. Something I won't find in an internet search.
I'm surprised you didn't find my secret past of being an equestrian, riding my horses and whatnot. But
actually, I did see a bunch of horse pictures, but it wasn't on your author page because after we had a little brief conversation, I went searching for you, and I wasn't trying to bring that up because I didn't want to mention your other names, so I was trying to stay away from what I found there. But go ahead.
So what I combined, and this is really weird, but there's this thing called dressage freestyles, where the horses are doing, a freestyle routine in a court to music.
Oh.
And so for a brief time, I had a company called Rhythm and Hooves. And I helped these writers put their music together. So it was a creative way, but not exactly linked to writing.
Well, it still incorporates a lot of your passion together, so we'll let it ride. All right, just one final thing. If you could tell your listeners, that are readers and all alike, if you could tell our listeners, what is one thing that you want them to know about you as an author?
Oh, let's know. What do they? I will keep writing. Obviously, I have the persistent gene. If it, I hung in there for 20 years without publishing again, but I won't let them down. If they've found my writing enjoyable and they like to escape with it, I want to keep providing those stories for them.
Wow. Well, for as much as you've told me and the search I've done, they are very enjoyable books, and I would advise all of our listeners to go look her up because she is a delight, and you have been a delight. Thank you so much for being on tonight. Thank you so much, all of our audience. I appreciate you every time you come in. Stay tuned.
Yes, thanks for me too.
Anytime. Stay tuned to next Tuesday. I misspoke on our last podcast, but next Tuesday, we're going to be doing something a little different. We're going to have 2 authors to interview, and we're looking into doing a live Facebook feed with a giveaway from yours truly. It's a $25 Amazon gift card, and you can spend it any way you want. I won't tell. So thank you so much again, CJ, for coming in. Thank you, everybody.
You're very welcome.
Have a great evening, everyone. Bye-bye for now.